if an oil analyst told you the truth, he'd be ostracized and he wouldn't be allowed on Fox News or any of the major news agencies ever again. Why? Because the powers that be do not want you to know the truth. The whole global warming science behind it, it's completely BS. The whole thing was originated from a gal by the name of Judith Curry. Now, if you look up Judith Curry, there's an interview. Look up Judith Curry. She's a climate scientist. Look her up on YouTube. Watch the interview. It all started with her. The whole global warming and her information was used and politicized in order to make a connection with global warming and fossil fuels. To demonize fossil fuels, they used this information. And she was put on a silver platter. I mean, people loved her. She was embraced amongst her colleagues. She had all the money she needed. I mean, people were throwing money at her. News agencies were bringing her on. And she spoke out against it, and she was ostracized for just because she spoke the truth about it. If you speak truth about global warming and the agenda behind it, you are done. See, we live in a world where if we tell the truth, we get ostracized. We are afraid of telling the truth. Thank God my money is not in the hands of people that can control me, because politics today is nothing more than selling out to the highest bidder. So let's look at oil. Why all of a sudden we went from oil's going to $100-something a barrel to all of a sudden all the analysts are pumping the brakes? Well, first off, an analyst cannot tell you the truth. They have to look at data. They have to follow the data. They're not going to come out and say, hey, the referee is lying. The goalkeeper is lying. It's not real. I mean, he's just going to look like an idiot. I mean, how do you tell your investor base, like, hey, listen, guys, I don't actually know what's going on because simply everybody's lying. I can't tell the truth on, I mean, if he started talking like this, he'd be deleted. I mean, there are gentlemen, quality gentlemen running to become the next president, become the next Republican primary that you've never even heard of. Why? Because they're not getting any airtime. You don't even know they exist. You know Trump exists because when he comes on the camera, everybody wants to watch. And the reason why he's getting so much airtime is because they're trying to put him in prison. It's actually been good for his coverage. But if you speak the truth, you don't exist to the world. I don't exist to 7.5 billion people out there. There are 8 billion people in the world, and only 10,000 people know I exist. Maybe. You're a small percentage of the people that are in the know as far as the truth about oil. So here's the truth. Oil prices have only dropped a few times. It dropped in the 2009 financial crisis, and it dropped during the pandemic. The demand for oil dropped during those times. Now, the reason why my point was oil demand dropped only 2 times, in 2009 and during the pandemic. Oil prices have dropped many times, okay? Now, the reason why oil prices drop is because the supply and demand. If you look at the supply side, we were flooded with oil in 2008, 2009. And then the demand crashed, causing oil prices to crash with it. We were drilling like there was no end. And we started drilling 10 times more in 2012. We went from 6 million barrel a day production to 13 million in a very short period of time. Why? Because of shale oil and gas. We had so much oil that we caused oil prices to drop down to $60-something a barrel. But now, where's this oil going to come from? In the past, we had a tremendous amount of conventional oil. Well, we ran out, so we went offshore. Then we started drilling offshore oil. Then we ran out. Then we discovered shale. Then we started developing shale oil and gas. What's next? What's left? We don't have any other major discoveries. Now, yes, they are making more discoveries. But if you are consuming more oil than you're producing, and the discoveries aren't surpassing the amount of oil that we're consuming, then Houston, we have a problem. And see, what you're hearing from the left, what you're hearing from the EIA, peak oil demand is here. They've been saying that for years, and they've been getting it wrong for years. The demand for energy has never stopped growing. It's growing right now. But everybody puts their faith in green energy, which they've spent $5 trillion in the last 40 years on green energy, reducing oil market share by 1%. There's no end in sight for the demand for oil. And so the truth is that we don't know the truth. The truth is that what we're reading and what we're learning about data isn't truth. It's whatever they want you to believe. Why do they want you to believe that there is a solution to replace fossil fuels? Why have they demonized fossil fuels? Why have they promoted green energy? Why is the world wanting you to believe that, hey, electric vehicles will save the day? I mean, they run on lithium and cobalt, and the electricity comes from where? Fossil fuels, a good portion of it. I mean, it's a non-renewable resource, but why aren't they talking about, why is it that the green energy and the tree huggers are going from one damaging energy to another? Because they're blind. The powers that be are laughing all the way to the bank. And so who knows? Maybe China knows that they could get the world to believe the lie and sell their cobalt. I mean, China has the largest cobalt mines in the world. Wouldn't it be smart to promote green energy? Wouldn't it be smart to get the world to transition from fossil fuels to green energy? I mean, wouldn't it be equally beneficial to the Biden administration, the Bush administration, the Clinton administration, the Obama administration? Wouldn't it be equally beneficial to those guys if we could rid the world from the demand and from the reliance on fossil fuels? Because you'd take the powers in Russia out. I mean, think about it. If Putin doesn't have oil, he has nothing. He doesn't have a tank. He doesn't have a military. The United Nations are surrounding Putin. The UN, the world police, is something that nobody wants, especially Putin. You don't want it. How would you feel if the United Nations was in our country policing you, controlling you? I mean, it's a foreign individual. I mean, Putin doesn't like it either, just as much as that you wouldn't like it. But they're policing the world. Putin doesn't like it. And so wouldn't it make sense to rid the world of fossil fuels? So how do you do that? The first step in war is to demonize the very thing you are wanting to destroy. I mean, the Bush family did it all the time. They demonized Saddam Hussein. They demonized Putin. Demonized Trump. They demonized anybody that they want to come against. First, they demonize them. And then we become weaponized against that person. And then we send in our troops. We bring destruction. I mean, look what we did in Libya in 2000. We rolled our tanks in, creating the world's largest humanitarian crisis, second to Libya. Now, here's the deal. Do I think green energy is going to replace fossil fuels? Hell no. It's never going to happen.